Joining us this morning is author and inspirational poet Marshall Pope. And Marshall, good morning to you, sir, and happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you too.
Good to have you with us this morning. And yet another book has been released. And tell us a little bit about author and poet that you are. And we haven't talked in quite some time, Marshall, but tell a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Life After the Rebirth is my 8th book. My 7th book was Telelista. It is finished. This book, I looked it up, the number 8 in the Bible, it means that it's a new beginning. It's like a new life. And that was strange because I didn't even know that when I started writing this book. And this book is about being reborn. It's about coming back from a death experience, losing my son last year. It almost killed me. And so this book kind of revived me. In this book, I explain death in a more spiritual form instead of a physical. Because what God has written for our lives, it can't be changed no matter we agree with it or not. 'Cause trust me, if I could alter the book of life, I wouldn't have my son dying at 23 years of age. But unfortunately, I can't. But God is the author, and so all I can do is try to find a way to understand it, accept it, and cope with it. So in this book, that's exactly what I do. I try to cope with living life after losing him, like life after, being reborn from going through that terrible experience. And that's to help other people too that lost loved ones, because it was a lot of deaths, in the past year.
The book Life After the Rebirth, and written by inspirational poet and author Marshall Pope. And you mentioned your son actually being, I guess, murdered in 2015.
Right. Shot in the back twice last year, July the 9th. Very devastating. It was, people don't understand that when you go through something like that, it alters your life. It hurts you in a form that you can't, sometimes people can't actually come back from that, but family, friends, and God, I was able to find comfort, and I was able to bury myself into my writing to try to help, And
Did you think about, Marshall, after the death of your son, just put down the pen and
I did. I wanted to quit. I wanted to stop writing, but my son was my biggest fan. And so I knew he wanted me to continue inspiring people, And I feel like me being going through what I went through, I feel like, I'm the best advocate to inspire someone, to try to tell someone about, how do it feel losing a loved one.
How do the words come to you to pen for a book like this?
It comes to me, I'll say from God, but I used to be a rapper, and being a rapper, my poetry is no different than when I was rapping. They both provide a voice, and at one time, that was all black people had was a voice. Slavery may have silenced it, may have turned the volume down, but it never silenced it. And that's what I feel my poetry do. It provides a voice for the voiceless, hope for the hopeless, and inspiration for the ones who don't have faith.
Now, this is not a black or white book. This is a book for everyone.
For everyone, for all races, for all ages, because I got poetry that reflects bullying, being bullied, and I got poetry for young ladies who may feel like they are not pretty enough. I got poems for young men who misguided, who think a $1.99 rag is worth losing your life over, or either taking someone's life. I got poems for any and all things, sickness.
Mm-hmm. When you were growing up as a young man, life threw you some curveballs too.
Yeah, it did. I went through a lot, but I feel like it makes the strongest person when you go through a lot. I feel like, everything that God puts in you, is there. And so when you go through so much, when he called upon you to go through that, he's not calling upon you to go through nothing that he hadn't put in you. He already knows that you're strong enough to withstand.
One of, and this is a book of poetry, life after the rebirth, the young dying younger, and how true that is.
Right. I went to a Stop the Violence meeting, and I said that poem because there was a lot of shooting, a lot of nonsense, violence going on at the time, and it's like the young dying younger. It's like they got no value for life, and it's not that the older generation is not doing their job. It's just that, things have changed dramatically to the point where kids are not in church. Kids are not seeking God. Kids are more concerned with other stuff, negative stuff, and you got the older teenagers coming from prison and telling these younger kids that it's fun, that it's this, but it's not. They don't tell them the truth. They don't tell them that you're locked down like an animal. You're in a cage. You're basically a number. They don't tell them that, and so these kids see it as something good and fantastic that they want to go and experience that. Yeah.
This particular book, Life After the Rebirth, and we're talking with author, inspirational poet Marshall Pope. How does this book define a person feeling value for their own life?
Feeling value. I feel like this book gives you the strength, because in this book, I give you a more sense of a spiritual, like your life is already written. Everything that we're going through, it's already been penned by God, the author of life, and we can't actually. Only thing we do in this life is just temporary to stop. Is to seek God, get to know Him, and prepare ourselves for the life after this life. And I feel like that puts a lot of value on your life when you know what you're worth for us. The way God sees you. God sees you. Everybody is valuable in God's eyes.
I'm just noticing on your right arm, hated by many. How old is that?
Ooh, it's real old. I was like maybe 18 when I got that, and now I'm 42.
That's something you went going through at that time to feel that
Right.
way?
And on my left arm, I got loved by few, hated by many. At the time, it was a lot of people I felt like maybe didn't understand me, and so that made them hate me, and I was loved by few, just a small circle or maybe friends and family that I had.
You're a grandfather.
Right, I am.
And of course, this is Father's Day coming up this weekend, and I'm guessing kind of a void left there this Father's Day with the loss of your son now?
It is, because he had 3 kids, and the last child, which is 5 months old, he was born after my son was murdered. And so he never got a chance to meet his father. And so I got to step in the place of that, and stand, let him know who his father was. So it's going to be a sad, glorious, occasion, but we still going to get through it.
So how can people get the book, Life After the Rebirth?
Amazon.com, and they can inbox me on Facebook. This is a real good book. I suggest you grab this book, read it, and if you lost someone, this book will really comfort you and help you get through it.
Now, you mention in the book several individuals by name in this book. Talk about that a little bit.
First, the poetry. In poetry, what I do is, if I'm thinking about like a person staying on the street, if I give them a name, that's a name that God has given me to put down, and so I may say Joseph, I may say Mark, but they're not physical people, but in a sense, Mark can be a lot of Marks around the world that's homeless.
Sure. The city of Talladega at the Ritz Theater last night, a lot of exciting news coming out of Talladega with a new theme and a new image look. You've got a segment in here about Talladega Faith.
Yes. Talladega Faith is a poem about, at the time, I felt like it was a black cloud over the city of Talladega. But I felt like God had faith that we would get through that we would overcome that. And so I felt like God was speaking and saying that I got faith in Talladega. I got faith that they're gonna get themselves together. I got faith that they're gonna eventually cease this. And which it did. It cooled down for a little while. I think it's got better than what it was.
Mm-hmm. Is this your final book?
I'm gonna say no. Because I think the world needs inspiration, and so I'm gonna be around for a long time.
When you write and when you think of poetry, does it come to you at odd times sometimes?
Yeah, it does. It comes to me at odd times, and I jot down something maybe on a small piece of paper, and I put it in my pocket. Later, I transfer it to another piece of paper, and I keep adding on to it. I might be writing a poem for 3 or 4 days, just piece by piece, and I might start on another poem.
You got a movie coming out too.
I do. It's my life story. I Am King. It's a feature film. It will be me growing up. It's me being signed as a rap artist. It'll be going through that phase in my life to become an author and a poet.
Is this about Marshall Pope, or is it about our society?
A little both. I think there's a lot of me's out there that's the struggle and went through a lot of tragedies in their life, and I feel like this film could really help a lot of people also, to see that you can go through your ups and downs and your struggles and stuff and still survive and come out and be successful.
Yeah. Production is slated to start in September or so?
September.
Yeah. Marshall Pope, author and inspirational poet, Life After the Rebirth. Again, this book available through Amazon?
Amazon.com, and also I got a poem that represents this book. It's called New Beginning.
Okay. You want to share that?
Yeah, I sure do. God, I come to you humble with grace as I share my old habits and ways. I give my old life to you in exchange for a new beginning, and I promise to give you all the praise. No longer will I indulge in earthly distraction in this material world of sin. I will rise up from amongst the wicked and fly like the phoenix if you so supply the wind. I promise to leave my past behind me as I reach for the future you have written for me. Lord, I see a path to a new beginning as I walk through doors that are no longer hidden from me. Flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, as I wrench my spirit from all spots and blemish. But the temple shall remain under construction till you say, well done, my son, your job is finished. I carry no baggage with me except my faith, my memories, and my love for you along with my family. Father, your son became my son, so bless our child and give him not one hug, but 3. One big hug for me, one warm hug from his mother, and one tight hug for his sister, and let him know he is truly missed. I can see him flying reckless through heaven, bumping into angels saying, Pop, don't worry, I got this. Father, I take one small step for change and one giant leap from a life of sinning. I praise you for your faith in me as I testify to a brand new beginning.
Wow. Author and inspirational poet Marshall Pope, our guest this morning. Marshall, always good to see you, sir.
It's always good to see you.